Alright, so I'm in Austin now, and I literally have no idea what I'm supposed to do now. I think they said that they have a shuttle that's available for us, but I really don't know who to ask for. It's time to figure that out. Well, to say the least, this is extremely unexpected. I was thinking, oh man, it'll be like a shuttle bus. Yeah. Something to that effect. What's up, guys? Day 2 down here in Austin, Texas at the Sony press event, and yesterday was just jam-packed. I was running around everywhere between the flight and the shuttling and the dinner and everything else. Today is even more jam-packed. They have us doing a ton of different stuff to push the brand new Sony A6500 to its limits. So they did give us our kits last night after dinner. I got the A6500, I got the Zeiss 16-70 f4 to test out. They also hooked me up with the FE 70-200. They also hooked me up with the Sony FE f1.4 85mm G Master lens. I want you to take a look at this front element though. Look at that thing. It's ridiculous. And there is a lot of glass in this lens. It is heavy. This is one of the king primes for portrait photography. So I've got a lot of stuff to do today, and they're really going to be pushing us to see what these cameras can do, and I am more than happy to oblige. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Our first stop of the day was the Austin BMX and Skate Park. Right out of the gate, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a sport shooter. I have no clue what I'm doing, so I felt like the whole first part of this event, I was basically just kind of coming to grips with the fact that I sucked and I had no idea what I was doing as far as learning how to track subjects and lead the subjects so that I could accurately nail focus. But I do feel like the longer I shot, the better I was getting at it. And the A6500 was making that extremely easy for me. So as you can see in these next few shots, my framing and composition was not the best. I'll be the first one to admit that. But my entire goal at this event was basically just to get used to the fact that I was going to have to be out of my comfort zone and I was going to have to learn how to track these subjects. I did get much better. It did really start to come together, but it does take quite a bit of practice if you're just starting off with moving subjects.
got a chance to shoot with this camera on a gimbal and handheld with native lenses, and along with a couple of the Sigma lenses. The image stabilization works great with the Sigmas. I was really impressed. It definitely helps. On a gimbal, I'm not sure yet. I haven't looked at the footage, and the rear LCD is actually dimmer, a little bit dimmer than the 6300, which sucks, because the camera's rear LCD in 4K mode already was garbage outside. And maybe it's because of the touch layer or something else. It's slightly dimmer. It just makes it extremely, extremely hard to shoot in the sunlight like that shoot was. Other than that, a couple of the buttons feel a little bit better. They don't spin as easily, so you're not accidentally changing the settings. And that's about it. The touch, I used the Touch AF a little bit when I was shooting some handheld, and it's nice to be able to look through the viewfinder, the EVF, and change your focus point since I was using it because I couldn't see the LCD at all. So that's my first impression. Some minor improvements, but a lot of it's the same.
I think right off the bat it's going to seem a lot like an A6300, right? Just the look, the shape, the design, the weight.
I mean, the stabilization, because I live on a monopod generator,
right,
does make all the difference, especially because that sensor, it scans so slowly that, it really helps negate that horizontal wobble.
Yeah, you were saying you really like that. Yeah. And again, for the skate park shooting, mostly with a wide angle or ultra wide angle, you're not really getting much benefit from the stabilizer. You don't see a big change for it. Touch AF, I use that quite a bit. So far, I've been finding it touching the corner where I don't want it to go. But first impressions, autofocus, basically exactly the same as the 6300.
I am having some trouble with the back display on it. I mean, it seems even dimmer than the 6300. I mean, it's like looking at a calculator when you're out in the bright sun.
But we grew up with calculators.
Yeah, but we didn't use them with direct sun.
Well, I find it nostalgic, okay? But yeah, it is dark, hard to see in the sun. I don't know.
We should just keep checking back in with Max this entire thing, and then he can just post it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is first day.
You don't have to edit
played with it.
We're just doing something.
But so far very familiar.
Yes,
the new menu is more colorful. That's nice.
It is. I like the color on it.
It's basically the same, but it is cheery.
Yep.
From everything that I've been able to see so far, it is extremely comparable to the A6300. The form factor, the build, the grip is a bit deeper, and I do like that. But I honestly can't tell that much difference between this one and the A6300. I think they both feel pretty good. They were both a step up and above the A6000. As far as the tracking, if you actually get it locked on before you start your high burst shooting, it hangs on like a pit bull, just like the A6300, which is a welcome addition because the A6000 always struggled. So for high burst shooters, you want to at least give the A6500 a try. As far as the colors, I think the colors are coming out really good. When I was looking at the preview in the Finder, everything kind of looked like it had a blue tint, and that could have just been because of the light, the way it was reflecting off the screen or something. But once I actually checked the photographs in a darker area, it actually looked really nice. So far, I think it's an amazing camera, and I love the new button for your aperture with the knurling on it. It's a lot better than the one on the A6300. These are all nitpicky things. Overall, they're almost the exact same camera, but they have definitely improved. The burst, the buffer is just sick. I could lay on that button and it would never fill up, especially in like JPEG Fine. You would never have a problem. So for all you sport shooters, you're good to go.
When they start their aging process, they'll mention wine bottles.
So this part was pretty cool. Right after lunch, we walked downstairs to a root cellar that was built long before the restaurant was, and we had a tequila tasting. Of course, this was completely low light. There were no windows. Everything was artificially lit either by candlelight or the LEDs right above. So here are a few shots that I took while I was testing out the camera in this completely low light situation. So next up on our list, we had a full evening of nothing but sports planned. We had some tennis, we had lacrosse, and we also had a basketball game to record. And that wasn't all of it. So let's start off with the tennis part first. Again, I'm not a super duper great sports photographer whatsoever. Realistically, this was my first day of doing anything even remotely like this. And while I do feel like I was able to get a few good shots, there was a lot of spray and pray, even against the advice of my Sony artisan who tried to instruct us on maybe just taking one single shot in order to get it. I don't know, it just didn't seem to work out for me. Maybe that's just because no matter how good this gear is, absolutely nothing can take the place of some real actual experience and hands-on time with your craft. These guys are just amazing at what they do, and being able to replicate the images and shots that they get, it does take a lot of serious time. I do want to say that all of these shots were taken with the 70-200. I love this lens, and for whatever reason, it seems like it does a much better job of grabbing focus, or helping the camera grab focus. Most of my shots, even though they were spray and pray, the camera was extremely good about knowing what I wanted to focus on. Next up was lacrosse. Now, if you thought tennis was bad, try ever photographing lacrosse. Not only do you have to kind of keep track of your subject, but you also have to keep track of where the ball is, because ultimately that is going to be your subject. And I can't figure out how these guys even catch the ball, let alone see it. So I had probably a much easier time doing tennis, much more so than I thought I was going to. This lacrosse game, while it looks fantastic on the video, I absolutely love the video rendition that the Sony A6500 was able to produce. But as far as locking on to the moving subjects, I really did try several different times to make sure that I kept track on the ball. You talk about difficult. It is difficult. But the one thing that you will notice here, if you keep looking at the background as I have to pan back and forth, you can really see how bad that the rolling shutter is on this camera. It's not very good. There is no improvement in that area whatsoever. And again, I still believe that until the day finally arrives that we actually get global shutters in these small handheld cameras, that's probably just never going to go away. Other companies do a better job with minimizing the rolling shutter effect, but in this particular case, as with the A6300, it is just really, really bad. So if you are planning to video any type of extremely fast moving objects, the rolling shutter is going to be your number one concern. Now with the basketball shoot, I mainly stuck with the 85mm f1.4 G Master lens. They did happen to pass out the 50mm 1.4, which was really, really nice. Very well built, but I just felt like the 85mm it grabbed hold of focus much, much faster. It was a little bit snappier than the 50mm f1.4. For most situations, you know, at least on the A6500, the A6300 and stuff like that, they are going to be mainly focused on portrait style photography. But if you do plan to use either of those two lenses in this type of situation, you're going to find that the 85mm just works a whole lot better as far as grabbing focus. It's very, very quick. Now, I didn't really like the autofocus touch thing. I'm left eye dominant, so my nose is constantly touching the screen, and I would constantly find myself having to try and cancel out the autofocus selection point because it wasn't what I wanted to shoot. So if you're right eye dominant, I can see that working a whole lot better. But if you are left eye dominant, in my opinion, it's honestly more trouble than what it's worth. A thumbstick might have been a little bit better of a choice for people that are left eye dominant, but for me, I just didn't really find the touch autofocusing point thing to be that useful for my needs. Your mileage may vary, but overall, the camera itself is very responsive when it comes to autofocusing. I do believe that it has a lot to do with the types of lenses that you're using. If they are cheaper made lenses, you might find yourself struggling a bit. And even after all the sports, we still had one more event to shoot that night, and that was a concert directly after dinner. This was a band called Ian Moore, and they were a phenomenal band, and as you can see, I was using a couple different lenses, mainly the 16-70 Carl Zeiss f4, and I was also using the 85mm G Master lens. Again, even at f4, I am not afraid to pump up the ISO on these cameras. The A6300 and the A6500 are by far, hands down, some of the best low light shooting cameras in that form factor. Aside from the Sony A7S, I love the look of the grain pattern from these cameras. They're not digital, they're not blocky, they're not purple. They have a really nice organic look to them that I absolutely positively love. So, as far as these low light shoots that we had been trying out, I'm not afraid, and the A6500 holds up even as well as the A6300 in these lower light conditions. So if you're going into a situation where you're not really sure what to expect, especially like parties or concerts or anything like recitals as far as kids and stuff go, anything where you're not really sure about what the lighting conditions are going to be, these cameras can handle it. All right, Max. So you had a full day to play around. What do you think so far?
You want built-in stabilization? Buy it.
It's a 6300 with
Stable. That's it. If you need that,
Is that the official consensus? It's basically a 6300 with stabilization.
I think so. Touchscreen functionally doesn't do too much. It's nice, but and then I mean I shoot video, so buffer depth isn't affecting me very much. So
yeah, I guess that's the other thing. We're video shooters, so if you're a photo shooter, you do sports, that buffer is really impressive. I would definitely upgrade for the buffer if you shoot a lot of bursts for sports or action photography. I think that's worth it.
I like the bigger grip. Any bigger grip is always better.
Yes.
4mm makes a difference. 5mm makes a huge difference.
Yeah. It actually is a huge difference if you're shooting with the bigger lenses or with a Sigma adapter, which sticks out quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you're shooting all day, you're actually messing. Like, I have decent sized hand, medium to large hands, and I'm messing up my fingers when I'm shooting with it. This one doesn't have any issues.
The next event was barrel racing and calf roping. I happen to really enjoy this particular competition, and I got a lot of amazing shots. Just check these out.
Bounce.
Now this one's for all you dog lovers out there. We got to shoot the Disc Dog Club. They're local to Austin, Texas. Amazing, smart little animals. They could do just about anything that their owners asked them to. And we got to ask the owners to facilitate basically tricks and stuff that we were wanting to shoot. And the dogs were totally happy to accommodate. So hope you guys enjoy this one.
Cigarettes on cigarettes, my mama think I stink. I got burn holes in my hoodies, all my homies think it's stank. Think I miss cocoa butter kisses. I miss my cocoa butter kisses. Cigarettes on cigarettes, my mama think I stink. I got burn
Well, you know, Mark, I fell in love with the 6000 back in 2014. You know exactly when and how I did. And when the 6300 came out with 4K, really, that was a no-brainer. The 6500 is basically the 6300 with touch autofocus and in-body image stabilization. And it's really interesting to me because I think Sony's smart in having all three cameras continue to be marketed and to have three different price points to appeal to as broad an audience as possible. For me personally, IBIS was not what was keeping me from making great images. So the fact that it now exists is a good thing, but it's not an incentive for me to buy it. The touch autofocus on the 6500 is really interesting, but one, it's only touch autofocus. It's not a touch screen system. So there's a lot more potential now that they've introduced that, and I'm waiting to see what they do in terms of, for example, the menu system. I would just add that in my first exposure to the touch autofocus, no pun intended, it's not as responsive as I would like. And as you know, because you've been here with me, you can't pinch or do any of the gestures that anyone with a smartphone has come to expect. So, bottom line, it's a good addition to the line. That's where I say it. It's already got a great sensor, and I like the form factor.
And finally, the last shoot of the trip, we went on top of a building called Sky House up to the 23rd floor, where we not only had some wonderful cocktails, but we also got to shoot some very lovely models against the night Austin skyline. Beautiful location, absolutely gorgeous. And for the most part, I used the Carl Zeiss 16-70 f4 lens. So here are my final thoughts. I love the A6500. It is a really nice step up from the A6300. I do see now why they said that they were not going to be replacing one or the other. The A6000 is still in production, the A6300 will still be in production, and with the addition of the A6500, you now have a complete gamut. At least in my eyes. There might be some other things that they come up with that they'll add to maybe an A6700 or something like that. But in my opinion, the A6000 is a great introduction to the Sony line. The A6300 is a great introduction to those that want more advanced video features. And the A6500 really does complement those people that like to do a lot of high-speed shooting, a lot of burst shooting. The buffer is fantastic. If you've already invested in, say, an A6300 and you don't do a lot of sports shooting, you don't need to track a lot of fast-moving objects, and you don't need to burst where you need that huge buffer so that you don't get left behind, then you're probably okay with an A6300. But if you need that, if you want that ability to shoot as many frames as you possibly can and hope that you got the right one, then the A6500 is definitely the camera you're going to want to look at. As far as me personally, I'm probably going to stick with the A6300. I get all the video features that I need because most of the time I'm just doing vlog style videos. Not much client work in the video department for me, and as far as the photographic side, most of my shoots are staged, they're pre-planned, they're in the studio. I've got people that have already done a lot of the work as far as pre-planning costumes, hair, makeup, and all that kind of stuff. So that's my style of shooting. The A6500 really is more honed focused for those of you that like to do it all, or you have a very specific need like sports. So at any rate, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a big thumbs down. At any rate, I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I will see you guys again on the next one. Peace.